Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Kool-Aid Podcast. Today we will be talking about the transfer market and we will be rating some of the top signings that have happened in the last few weeks. As always, this is my co-host Elias.
What's up, guys? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day.
Right on. And guys, remember to always like our videos down below and to like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter, on basically every social media that we're on TikTok, and keep supporting
Definitely,
us, guys.
definitely, guys. We have all the links posted like down below in the description. You just go click on those links. And guys, remember, we do have our videos on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Our long formatted videos, our weekly news roundups, our challenge videos are all going to be up there. So definitely make sure to go over there. And basically follow us there if you like. Do you want to hear the more long and formatted videos? But first transfer, which we are going to talk about, is Jude Bellingham to Real Madrid. Let me share my screen right there. There you see Jude Bellingham in the Real
Cursed
Madrid.
image, cursed image, bro.
For curse.
That's right.
All right, but Alex, thoughts on Jude Bellingham to Real Madrid?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I'd like to say that Jude Bellingham is a phenomenal player. All biases aside, he's a terrific player, top talent. And I think, to be honest with you, if he does end up playing as much as he is hyped up to be, because we know how good he's been in the Bundesliga for Dortmund in the last couple seasons. But if he does pan out to be as good as he was for them, then we're looking at a 10 out of 10 signing because you're
10
bringing
10
in.
signing?
Yeah, because look, this guy is what, 22, 23, maybe a little younger.
No, bro, he's younger. I think
Yeah, he's
he's
like 20,
19.
21.
He's 19, bro.
No, really. Damn.
Yeah,
So,
he's
even
he's
yeah.
19. That's crazy.
So you're looking at a guy who's just starting his career, right?
No, actually,
He has so much.
he just turned 20. My bad.
Right. So 20, more or less around the age that we said. So he's 20. He's someone that has his entire career ahead of him.
Yeah.
He's still,
hmm
realistically, if he is to play on average, he's gonna play for, let's say, another 15 years.
15 years?
Let's say, no, in total, in his whole career.
Yeah. Okay, you
Madrid,
could say that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think this is terrific business from Real Madrid, as much as it hurts to say that, to get such a talented player who is filling up a position that they need. We know Madrid's midfield has been something that's been letting them down as of late because they do have a lot of older players and it's hard for them to keep up with the pace of the game. And to be honest, with how good of a player he is, I think Jude Bellingham is a great, terrific solution. Now, we do have a lot. There's a lot of speculation of how Madrid is gonna play because now you're filling up a midfield of young, bright players, and yeah, that's great and all, but you do have to account for a lot of things. Well, number one being experience, number two being the chemistry they can build.
hmm
So there's a lot of factors that still go into this, and we can't really predict how well they'll play together and how useful this will be for Madrid. But on paper, this is a terrific signing. I will have to rate it, if not a 10 out of 10, a 9.5, just because of the type of player he is and what he's doing for the club and what he's coming in to do.
I don't know if you can classify it as like a 10 out of 10 signing, because do you think Jude Bellingham is worth 100 million, like like from the start?
To look, and
Because I don't think so.
this is a topic of discussion for another day, but there is, of course, the English tax. I know it's even greater when you're in the Premier League, but the fact that he is an English player means that there's gonna be more
No,
media coverage
like,
over him.
what's it like? I'm sorry. Like, I know, like, you have to take the tax and like the English tax into account.
Well, no,
But for
I think the English tax is
20 to
stupid.
30, like,
Yeah.
exactly, like 20 to 30 million. It's 20 to 30 million. That is that is extra money. For example, like I value Jude Bellingham maybe like a 70 million, 70 million.
I would say, listen, I would give him, in my opinion, I would give him 80 million just because, yes, he's a great player, very promising talent, but you also got to consider the league that he's playing in.
He's
If,
playing in the Bundesliga.
right, if we recall, and
He
no
was.
offense to the Bundesliga, right, but it's not the most competitive league. And it's not like he was playing for Schalke or Leverkusen. No, he's playing for Dortmund, which is the second best team. So it's always going to be a competitive squad. My point is, if we look back in recent history, right, we have seen some huge signings money wise. I can think of Neymar when he went to PSG. What was his signing?
No,
120.
no, Neymar. It was like 220. Remember?
All right. What am I saying? Oh, that's 220. So
Yeah, they like PSG paid his freaking release
and we
clause.
remember how that broke the transfer market. Now,
Yeah,
The problem is that nowadays the market is changing a lot, and I think there's definitely a lot of inflation going around with overvaluing players. I think it's a lot of different things. It's a social media age, so there's obviously more hype. Everyone's kind of an expert. Everyone's already throwing around these numbers, but I honestly think for the player that he is and how skilled he is, and considering history and you know English tax and whatnot, I think realistically he's an 80 million player.
80 million player.
I
Oh,
think 100 million is pushing it. But then
okay.
again, it's what we're saying. There's the hype. Certainly, players have devalued ever since the Neymar transfer. I
Okay.
think that was the beginning of not devalued, but they have been more overpriced for sure ever since that point in history. So
The thing I would say is like these huge transfers, they rarely ever work out.
yeah,
Because for example, you look at Usman Dembele, who went I think for like 120 around there, 130, something like that, like some crazy figure. You look at Eden Hazard going for the same around the similar price. You look at Antoine Griezmann, you look at Philippe Coutinho, you look even Neymar, for example. You look at Paul Pogba. You look at Romelu Lukaku, Modric, all these players win 100 million plus,
mm,
and these are just to name a few, and almost none of them, I would say, what were successful for the clubs. You could say possibly Neymar, but the whole goal of bringing in Neymar was to win that Champions League, and PSG have not achieved
no,
have
no,
achieved
but
the goal.
I would say, look,
No, but I would say like take that into account when we're looking at this transfer because like a hundred like these type of signings, like these are marquee signings. For example, I
mhm.
think the one that I would say is relatively successful was Kylian Mbappe to PSG, for example, from
Yeah, it was
Monaco.
about like 80 million.
No, it was like 150, like 160 around there.
Bro, what's up with me today? My ball knowledge?
Yeah, exactly. Bro, like, what?
I don't remember a lot of these. Yeah, I mean the
No,
numbers
yeah,
are
bro.
something
Like,
to me,
what's
but
it called? Like that
mm,
in that transfer window, like PG like absolutely splashed the cash.
yeah.
But my thoughts on the Jude Bellingham to Real Madrid. One thing I think that Real Madrid, what's it called? Jude Bellingham is a fantastic player. I think 100 million is a little bit overpriced. Just however, in this day of market, I think every single player is overpriced by 10, maybe even 20 million.
Okay, but real quick hypothetical question before we round it off, and you give me your rating for this transfer.
Okay.
In their prime, in
Okay.
both of their primes, how much would Messi and Ronaldo be worth?
Oh, easily 400 million.
Using today's standards.
Using today's standard 400 to 450 around there. Because when you think about it, there's not a single player under the age, I would say, of like 34, 35 in Europe that has a single Ballon d'Or. And Messi, at that time, when he was like, what, 22, 23, he had three. He had three or something like that.
And wait, let me ask you something, because for Ronaldo, I can pinpoint his prime a little easier. I would say around 2017 between
Yeah.
between 20,
No, or you could possibly say like maybe like that 2014 season
yeah, I would say
as well.
between 2013 and 2016 17, I would say was his prime. But
Uh
for
huh.
Messi, statistically his prime would have been 2012 when he got all those
The
goals. But
Yeah.
there was 91 or 92 in a year. It was some
No, but
crazy.
what's it called? It's just like Messi, his entire career is a prime, because when you think about it,
Yeah.
that 2015 season, he was an absolute demon, dribbling everyone. That 2019
2020,
season,
yeah, 2019 when we went to the
that,
semifinals with Liverpool.
yeah,
He
and
carried.
yeah, what's it called? He carried that was like the one man army. Messi in the 2022 World Cup, absolutely beast.
Mm,
The 2011 Messi demon, and then we also have to think like Messi has been great in like all the other years. Just for
mm,
example, like those are his outstanding years.
right.
Um, just answering your question easily, 400 plus million.
For
Just because
both
like
Messi and Ronaldo would have both
yeah,
been that.
easily by far. But going back on topic, Jude Bellingham, for example.
Wait, give me a rating for it.
I would say a nine. I would say a nine. 10 out of
Okay.
10. I don't know. I don't
Well,
know
I, I
because like
did I did say between 9.5 and 10, just because, like, of course we don't have the hindsight yet to be able to say, oh yeah, this was a great signing because he hasn't played.
yeah, he hasn't played with, like, we still have to see.
But in
Um,
theory, considering what he does and considering what Madrid need, I think it's definitely a 9.5.
Okay, but Jude Bellingham, for example, like he's like a box to box, no? Like
Okay,
like
yeah,
like
but
like like, like that's his play style. Like he isn't a controller.
that's fine.
Okay, okay.
Who's Madrid's box to box?
Bro, like their entire midfield is box to box.
Right,
Their
but
only controller is Tony Cruz.
right. But now listen. Now they can possibly line up their midfield in different ways.
Yeah,
What I
I was just about to ask you, what do you think Real Madrid's midfield is going to be now with Jude Bellingham? And we also have to remember, Arda Güler has signed for Real Madrid.
Mhm.
So, what is Real Madrid's midfield going to be looking like with
Listen.
Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Toni Kroos, Modric,
So listen. So
Jude Bellingham, Valverde?
if they want to opt just for age, right?
No, no, no. If Real Madrid are playing Barcelona tomorrow in an important match, in an important La Liga match, what is Real Madrid's midfield going to be
So I think, right, you need to
with
mix
everyone
in,
available?
yeah, you need to mix in the experience a little bit with the youth, right? So I think the best way they can go about it is Chouameni in that controlling position, although he doesn't have the control of the game that Kroos has, but I'll put him just because Barca's midfield is gonna run laps around Kroos physically. And then the other two that I would put in that midfield would be Bellingham and Modric. Modric because he creates a lot of chances. He can carry the ball well. And he's another great asset to have. And then
Wait,
I
wait,
think
so Tony Cruz is not going to be in
Toni Kroos
Barcelona?
is not starting, and I'm putting Valverde in the wing, and then maybe subbing in Rodrigo, just because I think Madrid play best when they can counterattack effectively with their midfield. Because if it's just give it to Vinny and let him like take on the entire team, sure. But if you're playing Barca, you have Araujo, and that's already a nice way to stop him. So,
Okay, okay. So you have Jude Bellingham definitely starting in that midfield.
oh yeah,
Okay, okay, that's interesting. Um, because for example, I would say that Camavinga was actually like one of Real Madrid's best players, and I don't
well,
know if they're gonna keep playing him as left back and maybe just like move him in like like having that inverted fullback, for example, just like how everyone is playing nowadays, thanks to Xavi, for
maybe
example. Um, um, but I'm asking you this: do you think that Jude Bellingham is going to be successful at Real Madrid? What are your expectations? Is he going to be a generational? Is he going to be like the next Zidane?
no.
Is he going
I think I think Jude Bellingham is gonna be good at Madrid. I don't think Madrid is gonna be good with all these like new Galacticos. Just because, look, Madrid has proven that when they have usually not always, but when they have like a very stacked team of a lot of names, they don't really like win a lot. Like think back of the early 2000s, the Galacticos, they didn't win the UCL with them.
to? Okay.
When they had R9, when they had Zidane, when they had Luis Figo, when they had Raúl, they didn't really win. I mean, they won La Liga and they won domestically, yeah, but they didn't have that great success. I know this
Hmm.
contradicts with the fact that in the 2010s they did have Modric, Cruz, Casemiro up top. They have Ronaldo, they have Benzema, they had Bale, but that's a different era, and you do have a lot of players that for some time have been growing in the team and playing for a while. So it's not like the Galacticos that was basically assembled in 2 or 3 seasons, right? You already had a lot of players that have been playing for a while. Modric already had some time at Madrid, so did Cruz. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like Madrid, this team, like still doesn't fill me with confidence, and it's not because they're our rivals. It's just that, yeah, they have a good midfield and their attack is nice, but they don't have a proper striker.
I was just about to say that like
They don't
like
have a
Real
proper
Madrid, they don't have a
and
proper
that's
striker.
not that's not to
For,
say that Vinny can't score or that Rodrigo can't score, but they don't have a nine.
no,
They
and
always
on
rely on
top of that, and yeah, I completely agree. And for example, when you look at this Real Madrid squad, I look at how they're going to do in La Liga, how they're going to do in the Champions League, and how they're going to do it in the Copa del Rey, for example. I'm not afraid of this Real Madrid side. Barcelona were by far the better team in La Liga. And they showed it. Like, the table showed it. And our head-to-head encounters, we won most of the games. I know that 4-0 result is a little bit deceiving, but Barcelona, their main players, they were all injured. For example,
Mm,
in that return, like in the camp now, all of our players our key players were injured. Pedri was injured. Dembele was injured. Christensen was injured. Our key starters were injured. That's the same as saying, for example, if Vinny isn't playing, if Modric isn't playing,
right.
if what's it called, if Alaba isn't playing, or Militao, it's absolutely crazy. But what's it called? I definitely don't fear this Real Madrid side. And Jude Bellingham, I think when I look at what he's going to do, I don't think he's going to be a generational player. This is exactly what a whole bunch of Real Madrid fans are saying. Like, hey, this guy's going to be one to mark in the era. I don't think so. I think he's going to be good for Real Madrid. Just I don't think that he's going to be a revolutionary player or a generational player. But that's my take on the Jude Bellingham transfer. I think he's gonna be a good player. Just however, I don't think that he's gonna basically revolutionize the whole team. But now we're gonna be moving to our second player. Let me pull it up. We're gonna be talking about Declan Rice. We're gonna be talking about Declan Rice to Arsenal right here. And I ask you, Alvaro, do you think? I mean, what's it called? I just received a message, a text message from Alvaro. Alex. Do you think that Declan Rice is going to be enough for? Well, we're going to talk about both players, Declan Rice and Havertz, to Arsenal. Do you think that's going to be enough for Arsenal to make up the gap between them and Manchester City?
Honestly, I mean, again, I think Declan Rice is a good player. I don't think he's worth the money. I don't. What was his transfer fee? Like what? Like one?
It was 100. It was 100 million euros or something like that.
No, like
Insane amount of money.
listen. He's been playing for a mid-table to relegation battling team for his entire career so far. So with that being said, I'm not. That doesn't really mean anything, right? You can be playing for the worst team and you're just the best player in the world. But he's been playing for them for some time now, and yes, he's good and all, but to go from that to go to Arsenal for 100 million, I mean, first of all, that's extremely overpriced. I would
I know.
I would put Declan Rice at 60, 50 million tops. I can't give him a lot more than that because he hasn't shown it. For England, he's been all right. To be fair, he hasn't gotten a lot of minutes, but he hasn't been anything crazy. And for West Ham, yeah, he's been good, but again, I don't think 100 million is worth the deal. I think he's a good player, very good. I guess you can call him a 6 the way he plays.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe more like a 5 because he likes moving the ball around more. But yeah, he's a great player, very promising talent for England, but I don't think he's worth that money. Whereas Havertz, how does they pronounce his name? I always butcher it.
Kai Havertz.
Havertz, right?
Yeah.
So for Havertz, I think he was always a flop at Chelsea, although a lot of Chelsea fans don't like admitting it.
No, he's a flop. I'm sorry. He had 19 goals in it, like 100 or something appearances.
Yeah, so
I'm sorry.
I remember when he went from Leverkusen to Chelsea, it was all this hype, all this guy's going to be great. And to be honest, he's had his moments. Yeah, I mean, he did score that goal in the final against City, which, by the way, randomest UCL final ever, up there with Liverpool and Spurs. But I will say this, like, I don't think he's a solution to anything. I mean, to be honest, there's the one player in Arsenal's midfield which I think every team should like and envy that they don't have him, and that's Odegaard. He's a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
In my eyes, a very good chance creator. He can score too. But then you look at it, it's a weird kind of like pairing, right? Because Havertz, yes, he's kind of like a false 9-ish type of attacking midfielder, but let's be honest.
And what's it called? Apparently, the rumor is that he's going to be replacing Granit Xhaka in the midfield.
Hell no.
Bro, I'm like, are you serious?
Granit Xhaka is nowhere near a world-class player. I would even argue, say, a great player, but they're so different players. Like, they play completely different positions.
Okay. This whole conversation that we're having about Declan Rice and Havertz, for example, Havertz, he costed 65 to 7 million, which I don't think that's 40 million or 30 million completely overpriced.
What has he done for Chelsea?
Havertz is a 30 is like a 40 million player max. Declan Rice 60, 70, pushing it. Player max. That's just a whole bunch of English tax and Premier League tax.
I just don't see this midfield getting significantly more creative, because Declan Rice, he's not a chance creator. I mean, he can play some through balls every now and then, but He's just there to break up play and hold possession, which is fine. They need that. But what does Havertz do? I mean, maybe he proves me wrong and he has a crazy season, but Havertz doesn't really fill
No,
that gap either.
I mean,
I feel like Havertz. I
we've
feel like
seen what
Havertz
Havertz
and
can do.
Odegaard play a similar position, in my opinion.
Exactly. What we could be seeing is maybe like both. Havertz could be like an Odegaard replacement or something like that. But for example, like Arteta, his signings have been bang on. For example,
Yeah,
the,
Gabriel
the,
Jesus and Sinchenko have been good for him.
they have been good. Zinchenko has come under fire a little bit for his little like his crying, for example.
Yeah, but he's.
Um,
I've never seen him go a match without crying. I hate that so much. He's such. I don't want to curse too much on the channel, but you guys know where I'm going with this. Like he's such a baby. Like I've never seen him like go a few matches without like shedding a tear. Like buddy, chill. It's not that deep.
yeah. What's it called? But the main question I want to pose to you: is Declan Rice and Havertz enough for Arsenal to win the Prem or at least challenge for a trophy?
I
Because
think. Listen,
like we have to think about it. In the last 4 years, they've spent 520 million euros. And then this summer so far, they spent around like 200 million, including Havertz
L Club.
and and what's it called? And not to even mention they're signing Timber. Justin Timber, I believe. That's his name. And
Yeah,
so you sign these players. Do you think that Arsenal are going to be better? Because that's the whole point of making these signings. Is hey, you've absolutely choked and bottled the league, which you're an absolute failure of a club. Just to say that, number one, there's a
bars.
reason why you haven't won a single European trophy since Messi's debut,
That's
basically.
on your side. Well, let's point at that. Best club.
Since Messi's debut, for example, him scoring his first hat trick against Real Madrid to Messi lifting the World Cup in Qatar, Arsenal have still not won a European trophy, a major European trophy. So you're telling me all those years have passed and you haven't won anything? So just like I'm just saying,
Yeah, I mean,
like
and,
what is
and
Arsenal like? What is Arsenal gonna do next season? Because they were first for the entire season. Basically they choked it, they bottled it in the last final days. Absolute failure of a season. They have to improve now. They have to improve.
yeah, and I don't want
What
to
are
hear
they
none
doing
of
next
that. We
season?
were trying to. I don't want to hear none of that. Yeah, we were just trying to make the UCL,
Nah, nah. I'm sorry. I'm
buddy.
sorry.
No, but look, I think Arsenal's main concern is probably their defense, just because that defense doesn't give me any confidence. Saliba is good, but then
No, no.
you have Saliba.
Okay. Yeah. Their main concern is the defense, but what are they doing? What are their expectations next season? Like what do you
Look,
think that
I
Arsenal is going
think
to do?
I think look, I think Arsenal have no excuse other than to try to challenge to win the Prem. They have to win. They have to win a trophy. I mean, funny coming from a Spurs fans, I know. But look, they have to win a
Guys,
trophy.
relax. He doesn't know what winning the trophy is. Relax.
Yeah, I've never seen my captain lift a trophy. But look, um, they have to try to win a trophy in England, a domestic cup at least, considering all the money they're spending. And then,
What are they winning?
well, I don't know what they're winning.
FA Cup,
Look,
Karabuki.
Karabuki. I honestly don't think they're winning anything next season. And again, it's not like just like the bias. It's not a team that gives me a lot of confidence. The Prem, they're gonna have to be absolutely flawless in, because we know what City's gonna do, and City is only getting better, by the way. Um,
Yep.
so
Yep. They are because we are going to be talking about the Kovacic transfer, guys.
mhm. And they're a team that's expanding and building upon what they just won, which is a treble. And what are Arsenal doing? Signing a failed German wonder boy, and then you have an overrated English player. Like again, I know Rice is good, this and that. I will be happy to have him on my club, but listen, 100 something million or 100 million for him, and he's not like that proven. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's prem proven, but he's not that guy. Like I don't think that midfield that they're assembling right now is going to solve any problems. I think their defense is what's going to let them down.
Their defense is going to let you down. Well, Alex, I'm going to give you my thoughts. Both Havertz and Declan Rice, they're good players, for example, but
Yeah,
they don't.
individually they're good, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah. Individually, they're good, but they don't close the gap between Arsenal and Manchester City enough.
no.
Um, Manchester City is just they're way too good, And I'm sorry, you don't spend this amount of money on players such as this. And guys, we can be proven completely wrong, and we can be coming here at the what's it called, in a couple months and be like, oh my god, Kai Havertz absolutely um world class player. He's been absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. Declan Rice has been superb, one of the best midfielders in the world. That could happen. Just I don't think that's going to happen. And I actually have Arsenal regressing next season. I don't think that they're
Yeah,
going to match what they did.
I don't know if they're gonna do any better. To be fair,
Yeah, because when you look at their performance this season, a lot of the teams were underperforming. For example, Manchester United, they had a horrible first start of the season, and then you saw that at 4-0 against Brentford, for example. You had the 7-0 against Liverpool. That's actually crazy. You had the whole Ronaldo saga before the World Cup. That's actually crazy. Just like that gives you like how long the season has been.
that feels like years ago.
That feels like years ago, but that was a couple months ago. You look at Antonio Conte and Thomas Tuchel, both in the Prem for both Chelsea and Spurs. That's crazy.
I'm not exaggerating. That was like one of the best games of the season.
Yeah, I mean, like
it all went like, and like that Kane header at the end, like that was class. I'm so sorry, and that was I don't know, man. That was a crazy game.
No, for example, you had Chelsea finishing 12th after spending 600 million, absolutely banter club. You had Liverpool, who
The
had
brothel, right? That's what they call them. No, the brothel.
yeah, it's the brothel because like what's it called? Like all the brothel. When you put it in Chelsea, it's the orphanage, because like they're signing all these young players and not winning anything. The brothel FC. What's it called? You had all the big teams like underperforming, and everything. We haven't even talked about Spurs. We haven't even talked about Spurs. We haven't even talked about Spurs.
Listen,
Yo, where are Spurs in the Champions League? Yo, okay. So, Alex, when the draw happens, who do you think that Spurs is going to face in the Champions League?
I'm gonna have to go with probably Burnley.
Burnley.
Nice. I think
Burnley.
Norwich probably. They're probably gonna be
okay. Because I am thinking that they're going to be flying out like to Finland or maybe some so like Georgia to be playing in the wait, are they in Europe?
No.
So they be qualified for like the UEFA Conference League.
Listen, Europe is overrated.
The
Carabao Cup is bigger than all those trophies. I'm so sorry.
I mean, you're gonna be in the same boat as what's it called, as Chelsea.
Chill.
Chill. What's it called? But these guys, Arsenal, they're not gonna do better than last season. Look, I think at best the same. But I think that, for example, when we talk about Newcastle, the players that they're signing, and we talk about Liverpool for everything, I think that they're going to be significantly better. I don't think that Arsenal is going to keep the same thing, and the expectations for next season for Arsenal is just like, hey, win a trophy, just FA Cup, anything, just win a trophy. At least when you win a trophy. But Alex, just moving on to the next topic, give a rating for both Kai Havertz and Declan Rice. What do you think?
I'm gonna give Rice an 8 out of 10. 7.5, and then I'm gonna give Havertz a 6.5.
Okay, I'm gonna give Declan Rice an 8. I do agree. I think that price is a little bit overpriced.
Yeah, I'll give him an 8.
Yeah, I'll give him an 8 because he is a quality player. Kai Havertz, I give that a 6 because you've overspent. No, 5. I'm gonna give you 5 just because you spent way too much money on a player that I don't rate. What's it called?
Yeah, I don't rate Havertz either.
I don't rate Havertz at all. And so we're gonna have to see what they do. But guys, now moving to a different player. We're gonna be moving to this is gonna be funny. But we're gonna be moving to Mason Mount. Mason Mount. Look at this. Look at it. The boy who had a dream. The boy who had a dream. The boy who had a dream and everything. Alex.
It's sad, man. It's sad. It's sad. No,
bro. Do you realize that this guy went for 55 million euros? 55 plus 5, I think, right?
My club could never. I mean, my club wouldn't sign anyone.
Hey. We're gonna be talking about James Madison in a bit. Just relax. Just relax.
Well, listen, Mason Mount. Where do I begin? Another highly overrated English player for many years. Oh, I mean, not that many, but for the last few years, I remember everyone saying, "Oh yeah, Mason Mount this, Mason Mount that." In other words, he's Frank Lampard's kid, his unofficial son that always played everywhere where Lampard was. But I mean, we saw that he has some good moments in his career. I remember certain,
His only good moment is the goal against Real Madrid, for example, in the Champions League, and
yeah.
and
Well,
that pass to Havertz in the Champions League final. That was it.
yeah.
Because
No,
like
but listen,
I'm
listen.
being serious. Like I've talked with Chelsea fans, and they are well, it's divided into two sections: the Mount sexuals, which was what's it called, which find Mason Mount attractive, and that's why they want him at the club, and those who actually like watch football and they see that Mason Mount, like they are so happy and they're crying because of joy because Mason Mount is leaving the club. I'm sorry, when you sign a player and what's it called, you see that the other team is jumping for joy. I'm sorry, like doesn't
That's a
that
warning. That's a warning.
exactly? It's a warning. And on top of that, you give him the number 7. You give him the number 7.
Shows how much they respect Ronaldo.
One of the most iconic numbers in football. My Manchester United is number 7
Well,
with
look, Manchester United,
Beckham,
they're
Ronaldo,
currently
best.
listen, and I'm saying this from the this was good about liking two teams. You know, whenever you want, you can talk about the perspective of one. I'll be saying this from the point of view of a Barca fan, so please leave Tottenham out of this. But United currently are a disgrace of a club. The way they're doing business is just terrible. I'm so sorry. Like, this is not the United that I grew up watching. That like I would be like, damn, like that's a good team. Like, what are they doing? Like, their defense shambles.
Hmm.
Their
Well,
midfield,
I mean, other than for example, Lisandro Martinez, World Cup winner.
okay.
Keep that in mind.
Everyone else in that defense is in shambles. Every few months, they'll try to sell me the idea that Wan Bissaka is a phenomenal right back.
Cap.
Maybe defensively, but that guy's a cone going up.
Going up.
And then
He's the best one, like 1v1 defender in the world.
and then
Best.
Luke Shaw, like hello, like I'm definitely faster than him. I'm so sorry. I've never seen Luke Shaw perform a successful sprint. There's always something wrong with him. But anyway, um, and then the midfield is, I mean, Bruno Fernandes is good. I'm not gonna disrespect him. Like he is a great player, but Mason Mount and who else are you putting in that midfield?
No, the midfield is gonna be
Fred?
Casemiro. The
Oh,
midfield is gonna be
Casemiro, yeah. But I'm saying like
no, that
if you
midfield is
don't
gonna
have
be
Casemiro,
Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, and Mason Mount.
without Casemiro, say he gets like 5 consecutive yellows, which very likely.
Because he's no longer playing for Real Madrid, he no longer has that protection.
Yeah. So let's no, but like again, it's such a volatile team because okay, up top, you have Rashford, one of the most sporadic players I've ever seen. This guy will give you the most phenomenal like 2 months of your life, and then what does he do? He just ghosts.
Yeah,
Right?
that's cool.
Anthony, overpriced fidget spinner. And who do you have for striker?
The Horst, the Horst. No, but he's actually like going back on loan. And what's it called? Manchester United. They are looking for a striker.
Bro, United, I'm so sorry, but they're such a banter club right now. And again, I'm saying this from
No,
the point of view of Barca.
no. But this is like this is completely valid. Because when you look at, for example, like teams, the whole point, like people are saying, oh, what's it called? The Premier League is not a farmers league and everything. And if you're trying to make the league competitive, for example, you can have Manchester City, winning, about to win their 4th league in a row. 4 in a row? Are you serious? Are you serious?
Right.
Um,
I'm just laughing at the image right now. Like, how do they think they solve their problems with this? Like,
Hey, Mason Mount, oh my God. This guy, he at best, for example, he's a 30 million player. He's Ferran
give me,
Torres. He's
give
Ferran
me.
Torres.
I was gonna say, give me a La Liga comparison.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm sorry. For example, we might stop paying
Actually,
for
you know
Ferran
what?
Torres.
I was gonna compare him to my goat Ricky Puig, but
Ricky
I'm
Push, yeah.
gonna I'm
Hey,
gonna
yo, but he's balling in LA. He's
I'm not
balling
gonna
in LA.
disrespect the man like that.
Yeah, he's balling in LA though. Um, but for example, if you really want to compete with Manchester City, you do
No,
not
there's no
spend.
there's no competition right now. I'm so sorry. 50 million on someone who hasn't done anything since like 2021,
Mhm.
or I would go as far as say as like maybe, oh yeah, 2021 is fine. He hasn't done something since then, and he's been consistently mid and useless for the team.
Yeah, I completely agree. What's it
50
called?
million is a daylight robbery from Chelsea.
It's daylight. Well, Chelsea with both the Kai Havertz and the Mason Mount, daylight robbery. I'm sorry, it's that simple. Like they've absolutely robbed both of these clubs. But what do you think? Did you think that Mason Mount is going to be successful at Manchester United, or do you think he's going to flop? For example,
I think he's gonna be the same way he's been at Chelsea. I don't think it's a flop. I think you're getting what you want, what you paid for. I mean, maybe not so. Maybe you paid a
well,
little bit more.
but like, hey, remember, we have to remember the history of the sevens. Ever since Cristiano, we've had the Dutch Drake. For example, we have what's it called? Angel Gabriel, for example, the one who what's it called? Angel Di Maria. Who else? Cavani, El Matador.
Okay, but look, Di Maria was whatever for United. He wasn't anything crazy.
Alexis
Uh,
Sanchez.
Alexis Sanchez flop. Um, who else? Cavani. I think Cavani is disrespected. I think Cavani had a decent like season when he played. He was also injured a lot, but when he played, he did well.
True.
I would say. But look, that's not the point. The point is this is a 4.5 rate signing or a 5, I would go and say.
Mhm.
And I'm so sorry, that's such a mid player
On
to
top of that, this is not a player that, for example, that Manchester United need.
they need center backs.
Not even that. They need Onana, who they are in talks with, because David
Yeah.
De Gea. I'm sorry, that guy can't.
That would be a good signing. That would I would
That guy is an inside agent, purposely trying to just like foil the plans. I'm sorry. Do you remember his mistakes? They actually need a striker. I'm sorry. You do not need a cam. What's it called? Someone who just runs around. But rating this transfer, Alex, what do you think?
4.5. I can't give it more than that. I'm sorry.
Four point five.
If we gave Havertz like a what, like a 6.5 or like a 5, this guy has to be like a 4.5.
I completely agree. He's dude, that is funny.
L signing.
L signing. But we're now going to be moving to Kovacic. He is going to Manchester City. Now, I think this is a good signing for us. I think
Oh
this
yeah.
is good business. I think this is good business, for example. There you see Kovacic holding, sitting with the Manchester City jersey. Good price, for example, 30 million. 30 million. Well, one of Chelsea's good players, great players.
Yeah,
Uh,
the only problem with Kovacic is injuries.
yeah, that is
Right.
true.
He does have a history of injuries, but overall, and I think Chelsea didn't rob City on this one, but I think what you said, what, 30 million around there.
Yeah, it was 30 million.
So I think
30, 35 around there.
that's a good signing. I mean, he's a class player when he's healthy. I've seen him have some phenomenal games for Chelsea, for Croatia as well. Wait, he is Croatian, yeah?
Yeah, he is Croatian.
Yeah, I got confused for a second. Yeah, he's played. Who am I thinking of? I must be thinking of a different player, but yeah, Kovacic, overall solid player. I think especially now that Gundogan left, he's a good player to have in the squad. Maybe rotate him around. See, I don't think he'll be a starter every game. I think because what City does is they have a domestic team and they have a European team. So obviously there's overlaps. De Bruyne is gonna play most games. Rodri is gonna play
Okay.
most games. Haaland is gonna play most games.
Well,
Although
okay, but do you think that, for example, that Kovacic is going to slot into that Gundogan role?
I think so. I think that's what they're trying to do with Kovacic. I mean, they're similar enough players. They're not too different. And I mean, I still think Gundogan is a better player, but I think he's a decent replacement. He's younger. I'm just intrigued to see how Guardiola is going to use him. I think it's good business from City. I will give this an 8 out of 10 and 8.5.
I was actually going to say the exact same thing, for the rating, just because he is a very quality player. He's been absolutely fundamental for Croatia, for example, in their runs in the World Cups. Um, he's been very solid, and he's been Chelsea one of their best players. And I'm surprised that they got him for this price when you see how other midfielders are going. The only, for example, problem I do see with this transfer is the injuries. For example,
Yeah.
he is, like, for example, you do want your players to be on the pitch. That's the most important thing. You do want them to be on the pitch. But we're gonna have to see, as you said, how Pep Guardiola plays Kovacic? Where does he play him? Does he play him in the Gundogan role? Does he
Yeah.
shift him around? But what we do know is that most of the players that Pep Guardiola works with, they do get better. They do get better and they do improve. So that is a positive. Um, so we both agree, solid transfer, solid transfer. Okay, but guys, we're gonna be moving on to our final, our final player. We're going to be talking about Sandro Tonali to Newcastle. We are going to be making a part two where we discuss all the other transfers, such as James Madison. We talk about McAllister to Liverpool. I forgot that Hungarian player. Um, I don't know how.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. To
Yeah,
Liverpool. I
yeah,
do not want to butcher his last name, but yeah,
yeah,
we'll be talking
exactly.
about Tonali now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're going to be talking about Tonali. We are going to be making a part two where we discuss like more transfers because like there's a lot of transfers and everything. Um, Tons and tons of players. Let me just pull it up on the screen right now, guys, and then we'll get started. But Alex, what do you make of Tonali going to Newcastle?
I mean, listen, I think Newcastle wants to become the next Manchester City or a team of that caliber. I think they're doing some good sneaky business. Last season, we saw some great signings for Newcastle. I would say mainly Kieran Trippier. We saw Isaac. I don't know how you pronounce his name. I don't.
Isak.
Isaac, right? We saw him. I think he's been good for the club as well. Newcastle are building a nice little team, and I think Tonali is a phenomenal addition to
Yeah,
that squad. I
yeah,
mean, talk
70 million
about
euros.
good business.
70 million euros. Yeah, that's the price tag. And something to keep in mind is that Newcastle are like 2 or 3 years ahead of schedule.
Hmm.
Because no one expected them to reach Champions League football this season. We have to remember they're going to be playing Champions League football.
Eddie Howe has done amazing with the club, and
Exactly.
overall, like great players, great signings.
The midfield of Newcastle is going to be Tonali, Joe Linton, and Bruno Guimaraes. If he doesn't go to Barcelona, but
Yeah,
that's a solid midfield. For example,
yeah.
Newcastle have been making very smart signings instead of just splashing the money everywhere. Um,
They've been
on
pinpointing what they need, and I think it's
exactly.
a great addition to the midfield. To be
Ex-
honest, I think it solves a lot of problems they had. I feel like in some games that I saw them play, they were I would say a bit passive in the midfield, not a lot of chance creation. Although Joelinton and Guimaraes have been phenomenal this season, but we saw that missing piece, and I think it's really gonna help pull the strings in the midfield, and it's gonna strengthen the team as a whole.
Would you say that Tonali flopped at AC Milan because there were some like when he first came onto the scene, people were saying like, "Oh, this is like the next Pirlo, a player who has who can mark an era at the club." He did win a league title with AC Milan, being one of the best players in that campaign. Just however, I don't think like he did anything
Yeah,
sensational.
you don't think he's lived up to the hype. So
Yeah,
I think that's perfectly
but we have to remember he's like 22, 23, so
right.
he's still
I
very
think
young.
it's reasonable for you to say that maybe he's I wouldn't say flop, but I think he's maybe underperformed a little bit compared to all the shouts he was getting because I do remember that. Excuse me. Um, but at the same time, you're putting a lot of pressure on a young player like that. I'm making all these comparisons. Even those greats like Andrea Pirlo, they weren't 22 and playing like that. You know, they weren't that young and at that
You're
level.
right.
So
Yep.
you do have to give players like this time. You can't expect them to reach their peak and reach their levels that they're being compared to when they're only like 20, 21. So I think you got to give him time. We'll see how he adapts to the Prem. It's a very different league, a very different
Mhm.
team, different play style. But overall, listen, I think it's I think it's great business. Maybe slightly overpriced. You said 70 million, right?
Yeah,
So
70 million.
maybe he's a 60 million or 50 million player, but still
Okay.
great signing.
What are your expectations with this signing of Tonali, for example, and players such as Isaac, Murphy,
Mhm.
Joelinton, all these players?
Well,
What's the
two things.
goal for Newcastle as well?
Newcastle has to do two things. They gotta finish what they tried to do last season, which is win a title. I mean,
Uh huh.
talk about Spurs not winning something. These people haven't won anything for like 67 years,
Hmm.
or like 60 something years. It's
Yeah,
some,
but now that they have the backing of like a whole country, bro,
but now that they have all of this, I think they
that
do.
oil money is
Listen,
looking.
that Carabao Cup, I really wanted them to win because we know how the United fan base is. No offense to any of you guys that may be watching this that are United fans, but a lot of toxicity. So I really wanted to see United lose the Carabao Cup, but I think Newcastle have to win something. It's the same boat as Arsenal. I think not as
Yeah.
bad because Arsenal were about to win the league, but um, I think Newcastle has to be a top three contender, be right up there, top four for sure, but top three, I would say they have the chance.
Okay.
And yeah, just try to try to win something. Try to get far in the UCL too. Try to get definitely to knockout stages.
Knockout stages. I think that that's a valid goal for Newcastle. Like, try to win a trophy, go far in the Champions League, and I think as well remain in the top four,
Yeah,
remain
for
there,
sure.
get Champions League football again for next season. That should be a goal, because, for example, they've been doing a fantastic work and they've been very good, and you don't want to regress from this. But regarding Tonali, do you think that he's going to be a flop, or do you think that he's going to succeed at Newcastle, or do you think it's going to be like in between?
I think he's gonna succeed. I think he's
He's going to
gonna
succeed.
prove. Yeah, because he's a player that I really like watching, and I think he has a good future ahead of him. I think he's gonna succeed. I think he's gonna do what he's expected to do, and I think he'll actually silence some of the hate.
It says it's science on the hype. Okay, okay, fair, fair.
I'm gonna
But
give you 8.5.
8.5.
Yeah, just
You know what?
because maybe
We're
70
saying
million. Just because maybe 70 million is a little high, but still, I think it's great business from Newcastle.
I do agree. Maybe the 70 million is a little bit of a price, but that's like the price of modern football. Like, for
Yeah,
example, I'm
so
perfectly fine paying 70 million for example, for Tonali, for example. It's not 100 million for Declan Rice. I don't see the difference in quality
yeah,
between Declan Rice and Tonali. Like 30 million worth. I don't see that.
because he's
Um,
English.
exactly that English tax, for example, just playing in the Prem. But for example, nah, what am I talking about? But guys, that was it for tonight's transfer rating. Just we were debating and ranking the transfers. We are going to be making a part two and maybe even a part three because the summer is going to be long, guys. There are going to be multiple transfers. We are going to be making multiple episodes of this series. So tune in for that. We are going to be talking about James Madison. For example, we're going to be talking about
Best
McAllister.
midfielder in the world, by the way. He's Madison.
Yeah, yes. You're talking about McAllister, World Cup winner. Yes, I completely agree. World Cup winner. World Cup winner. We're possibly going to be talking about Onana to Manchester United. So tune in for that. But guys, remember, like, subscribe, and comment. And this episode will be on Apple Podcast. Well, I can't speak English. And Spotify. So make sure to tune in that. But guys, like, subscribe, and comment. We'll see you guys on the next episode.